The title of this video made me cry. And by that I mean I full on started sobbing. Hello, lovely people. Welcome to the journey of discovery of self, of other, and of realms beyond space and time. My name is Adrian, and I'm happy you're here. This video was inspired by the phrase that is the title of this video, and it was said by Jennifer Cook, the autism expert on the show Love on the Spectrum, that was helping the autistic people with their dates. And I'll just clarify, I haven't actually seen the new season of the show. I just became aware of this part because Meg was talking about this on her YouTube channel, I'm Autistic Now What. I absolutely love her videos. If you haven't checked them out, you should. But anyway, when I got to this point of the video,
and I had tears in my eyes when she told Tanner that it was okay for him to be quiet during a date sometimes, and that he didn't always need to put so much pressure on himself to always be the one who was talking. It wasn't always his responsibility to carry everything. She said, people will like you even if you're quiet, even if you get sad sometimes. And then my heart just cracked into a million pieces. And then she gave a tip which I thought would be helpful for so many autistic people, that if you kind of have an awkward silence in a conversation on a date, then you can always say something like, I can't think of anything else to say, but I'm having a really nice time.
I started sobbing, and it honestly really surprised me. I mean, I'm obviously a very sensitive being. I tear up at a lot of things. I cry at cute videos of animals. Just the other day I saw a video edit of Billie Eilish and Renee Rapp and started crying. So it's not unusual for me to tear up at things, but that's usually it. Just a few tears. But I'm telling you, this video had me sobbing. Like, I paused the video just to get it all out. Tears running down my face, nose running. Like, there was just no holding that in. And my reaction was surprising to me, not because I didn't realize that this impacted me, but because I guess I just didn't know that I still needed to hear it. Because, I mean, I've talked about it before to people that I was close to in the past. I've talked about it like on TikTok. I've expressed this experience before. I've talked about getting close to people and my mask inevitably failing after someone has been around me enough. And then, people start to get upset that I don't initiate conversations enough. And then it gets to be a problem in important conversations when I don't know how to respond right away. And they're mad I haven't said enough. And not everyone is okay with letting me take the time to maybe write out my response, because I just am better at expressing through writing rather than speaking, because I have time to process it. And I've just had a lot of negative past experiences with not always being able to articulate myself the way that I want to. Like, I dated someone at one point who just straight up mocked me for stuttering and being silent for too long and told me to just spit it out. And, obviously I just walked away from that interaction because clearly it wasn't worth my time, because she didn't want to listen anyway. And I say all this to say, I've already seen this in my life. I've already recognized this in my life. I've already recognized that I don't deserve this, that I should just be able to be who I am. And I don't have to drain myself solely for the purpose of pleasing other people at the expense of my own well-being. It's okay for me to take more time to process some things. It's okay for me to pause before I respond to something. It's okay for me to say that I just don't have anything to say right now, but I'm happy, I'm content, I'm having fun. It's okay for me to admit that I just don't have the energy to say much right now or to respond at this moment. I have told myself these things, but I guess it's still really hard to believe when you've had so many experiences where people have treated you poorly just because you're quote-unquote quiet. It's like the world around you is trying to tell you there's something fundamentally wrong with who you are. They don't care about the way you process. They just expect you to be a certain way, and when you're not that way, they don't like you. And when you've had a lot of experiences where people don't like you because you don't talk a lot, it's hard to believe that there are actually people out there who will like you, even though you don't speak as much. So I think that's why hearing it really broke me. It's just been reinforced throughout my whole life so much. Like, even those small things that don't seem so significant really add up. It's all those times people are like, why are you so quiet? Why don't you talk? And then when you do talk, it's like, oh my god, he speaks. I've never heard you talk. And the thing about me, I've always been able to feel other people's energy. So it's like I may be autistic and like just not understand why people are like that. It's like I understand, but I also just don't. I still understand, I guess, their tone because I feel other people's emotions when I'm around them. Like, I probably come across as being able to read people's expressions and body language, but I don't think it's really that. It's the only way that I ever actually know anything is because I just feel it. The social deficit comes into play in the way that I'm just really confused about the way that other people's emotions don't match what they're saying most of the time. Like, you could say I don't get it, but I think I'm just not falling for the lies that people try to convey at times. Like, I just don't think the passive aggressive thing works with autistic people because we're just not going to respond in the way you want us to. Back to my point, there's just all these little things that add up. Like, my mom always telling me that I'm like talking to a brick wall because either because my responses are too short, because I'm just answering her questions straight to the point, or because she bombards me with questions and then I don't respond because you've given me too much to process at once, and then you just get mad at me, and then now that makes it even harder for me to actually give you a response, and probably don't even want to give you a response at that point. And then there's things like growing up kids equating quiet with being odd or weird and like someone you don't want to be around, or equating quiet with being rude or stuck up and things like that. And then there's just so many things throughout my entire life that have pointed to people just not being okay with my like reserved personality, because it's not even really that I'm quiet, because I'll talk a lot more to people that I actually know well and am close to, just not all the time. And like, I'm not going to initiate conversations most of the time because I just don't have anything to talk about with most people. Like, I don't know these people and I don't know how to, like, I do not have the ability to do small talk. Like, it's like my mind just goes completely blank. I don't know what to say. And then people think there's just something wrong with me and that I'm the problem. When I was young, I like constantly got yelled at for not responding to adults. It'd be like, you know, family, friends, or like the parents of my peers or whatever. And I just literally was always just very overwhelmed in those situations. Like, I would respond in whatever way that I could, but like, you know, I'd get to the point where like, I'm like, I don't understand why you're asking me certain things, and like, I don't want to talk about these things, or I don't want to answer these questions. Like, I don't like that you're asking me those things. And like, you know, and certain things, just certain energies just feel really weird, and I was very uncomfortable with it. And then I also just didn't really understand this like dynamic with adults and children, and like how, you know, it's like why now do you want me to talk, and like only like I'm only allowed to talk when you're asking me these weird questions and trying to get me to talk about things that I don't want to talk about, but like I can't make a comment like when adults are having a conversation because that's rude, and like adults think that kids don't know what's actually going on. It's just like a really icky energy that I always felt when I was a kid. Like, I know that like adults don't respect children, and like I just don't like I just didn't understand, like it just wasn't fair. And then like I'm rude for not responding when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like, I just didn't get it. Sorry, I'm like really running out of daylight here, but I decided to do this video in my car so that I could feel free to just like talk as loud as I want, because like I live with my family and I get really insecure about people hearing me, and like I just really don't like it, and that just, you know, it just doesn't flow as well. So that's why I'm doing this. But like the lighting situation is like all messed up. That was not that great in my other videos, but anyway, yeah, that's what's going on. So again, this quote: people will like you even if you're quiet, even if you get sad sometimes. Because of my lived experience, I was still holding on to this belief that people don't like me because I don't talk a lot, and because I take longer to process certain things, and because I don't always look happy even though I am, or because I genuinely am sad sometimes. So it's like hearing this statement was like my permission to let all of that go, to let that belief go, and start accepting this new belief. There are people who will love me for who I am. There are people who will allow me the space and time that I need to express myself. It's not a character flaw, because there are people who will understand it for what it is and not shame you for it. And I think another reason this statement really hit me at my core is because I was really able to see, like, I'm not the only one who has carried this massive weight. And it's really easy for me to look at another person and see, you know, this is a kind and genuine person, and they deserve to be treated kindly and with love. And so it's like it gives me permission to trust myself again, because I always knew that I didn't deserve that kind of treatment, but seeing it in someone else and being able to see how, you know, like, this is a good person and they deserve to be treated well, helps me realize, like, yeah, it's not like something that is wrong with me. It's something that, like, if other people saw it and understood it, they could accept me. It's like being gaslit by other people around me into believing that this is like a massive flaw of mine that is bad and causing people harm, when that's just not true. If people actually listen to me and allow themselves to understand me, they would know my heart and they wouldn't draw incorrect conclusions. It's like if they just let go of this image that they have of me of being like a neurotypical, or like themselves, or being like other people they know, and just believing that certain actions of mine mean the same as when they or someone else would do it, they would understand, like, that I really am just happy when I'm hanging out and not talking. They would understand that I'm just processing when I don't respond right away. They wouldn't think that my silence has some sort of negative agenda. That if they would understand that if I say, like, I just don't know how to respond right now, like, I'm just processing. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just trying to translate the stuff going on into my brain into a language that you will understand. I'm just trying to formulate a response that is able to convey what I'm actually trying to convey. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this video. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, because I actually just saw this TikTok that I've actually seen before somewhere, but it just came across my For You page, and it just really goes along with what I was just talking about, so I'm just going to add that in here at the end.
You can tell a lot about someone by how they act around a quiet person. I've learned quiet people can be quiet for a number of different reasons. Maybe that's just how they are. Maybe they're nervous. Maybe they're sitting there hatching an evil plan. You don't know. So the way people react when someone is quiet gives you a great glimpse into their own self-esteem. If someone walks away from an interaction with a quiet person going, oh, they were pretty cool, that usually means that they have a pretty decent amount of self-worth. They don't need constant reassurance that they're liked. But if someone walks away from an interaction with a quiet person going, oh, I hated them, Listen very closely to what they say after. Because sometimes people can just get a bad vibe from someone, but a lot of the time that quiet person is just reflecting your insecurities back at you. If you hear someone say, oh, they think they're so much better than me after having an interaction with someone who barely talked, what does that say about them? If you walk away from that interaction going, they think I'm dumb or they think I'm too loud, maybe you just think those things about yourself. Because I'm not a quiet person, but I've been around enough to know they're probably not thinking about you that hard. They're probably trying to stand as normal and possible and find where all the exits are.